Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Stu, and this is Rotting Heights for Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic. Overgrown and dilapidated, can you resurrect this once great amusement park? Your objective, to have at least 1,200 guests in your park at the end of October year 3 with a park rating of at least 600. So I do remember this from the first lap. I'm pretty sure I would have got rid of everything and started completely fresh, but we will not be doing that this time. We will be trying to save as much as we can. Let's turn off scenery so we can have a better look. Okay, so all the rides are broken down then, so we are going to have to, I was just thinking actually about moving that pirate ship down near the water. So we are going to have to fix that ride before we move it. That's really annoying, those messages. So there's sick and litter and vandalism on all of the paths. Some of the paths I'll get rid of. For example, paths up here I'll get rid of because those are good places to put rides. This path down here, yeah, I'll get rid of that. As I said, move the pirate ship. Some of these we'll rejig. I'll probably get rid of the paths up on the top of that hill. Again, good spot for rides. But we'll keep as much as we can. So playing this park then at this time comes fairly close to when it was announced that my local park, Oakwood, here in Wales, wasn't going to be reopening. So the park has been there now for about 40 years. We've been visiting it since it first opened, and you know it had grown a lot over the years. Now obviously it's closed. So I figure why don't we make this kind of like a homage to that? It's not going to be a recreation, um, but a few nods towards it and maybe some memories along the way. So I'm going to crack on. Oh, hang on a second. Before we do that, let's have a look at this. Okay, we've got free entries. We're charging for the rides. Um, we've got good selection of gentle rides, great selection of coasters, some decent thrill rides, not a lot of water rides, and not a lot of shops. So year one then, or for the most of it, we'll put our research into shops. Let's get some good variety out. We'll focus on rebuilding the paths, sorting out the rides, and then we can crack on. May year one, 216 guests in the park. We've got the green arrow, so that's a good thing. That means we can sort of pause a moment and have a play about with some of the rides that we need to rebuild. For example, the car ride. Let's turn off scenery so you can see the pathing I've done a little bit better. So I've simplified some of it and I've got rid of some of the other paths. Got a couple of little bridges across. We've moved the pirate ship down onto the water. Given the Ferris wheel a bit of a paint job, also the twist, and added a little path behind the twist. So yeah, all things considered, I think we're doing pretty well. So like I said, I can focus now on the car ride. If the green arrow disappears, what we'll do is we'll just pop back into ride building mode and put down one of these flat rides. We've got tons in here to choose from. So we'll put one of them down. Hopefully we'll get the green arrow back and then we can carry on restoring and fixing up the car ride. So let's have a quick look what we've got then. Ferris wheel. We've got the twisty. And we've got Barty these. So that translates as Black Bart. Black Bart was a pirate that came from that part of the world, came from Pembrokeshire. I've actually been to the village where he was born, and there's a stone there, and I can't remember the name of the village. I think, yeah, I'm going to crack on with building. See you soon. October year one, 662 guests in the park. We've got our loan up on the maximum, so we're going to have to pause the building for a moment. So just near the start, then we've got a spiral slide. I've called this Skyleap. Now, I often told people that the Skyleap in Oakwood was the scariest ride, and when they would laugh at me, I would say to them, "Have you ever been on it?" And they would say no. And I'm like, "Well, there you go then." So the Skyleap was this huge vertical slide. And you would just have to climb up the stairs, get a cloth sack, put yourself inside the cloth sack, sit on the edge and push yourself off. And when you climb up those, and you're basically on a slide the size of a house, and you have to push yourself off, that's when it you know what scary is. So yeah, with roller coasters, you just strap in and it takes you on the ride, and you can't do anything about it. With that one, you have to push yourself off. So that's always a fun one. And even as an adult, when I rode it, it would still be quite scary, and you'd still end up banging the bottom of your back or something. And then just over here, we've rebuilt the car ride. So this one's called Nutty Jake's Jalopies. So in Awkward, they had like a Wild West area at one point, and they had Nutty Jake's Gold Mine, which was a little ride-on train that would go like underground sections and things like that. So this is kind of like a homage to that. And then over here, then I got rid of the monorail cycles because they're trash. I was going to keep them, and I was going to call them something like BMX Bandits, as like a homage to the movie from the 80s, which I must have seen about 100 times, but I can't really remember what happens in it. I remember Nicole Kidman's in it, and it was something about these kids stopping robbers, perhaps. Anyway, so we've got this, and we've called it Tink's Flying School. So in Awkward, they had a, what were they called? Like a flying scooters ride. So you sit in these little planes, and it spins round and on like chains, and you can alter the flap on the back, which allows you then to go higher. And if you time it right, you can go pretty high, and then you can swoop down. They're great fun. So it was originally called Playing Crazy, and then they changed it then to Tink's Flying School when they had like a Neverland theme going on. And then just over here, then we have got a log flume ride. It's called Snake River Falls. I know there's other rides in other parks called that. And in Awkward, this was actually a water slide. But we've gone for the log flume in this one because they're just a lot nicer to build. So in testing, when the logs were empty, it came down here a lot slower, and then they spun round on the reverser, went up that little bit, dropped down, and then spun back round. Now that it's running and they're a lot heavier, it's too fast and it's going straight through that. So I'm going to have to change that. Let's check out the stats. 5 excitement, that's cool. So we're going quite aggressive on the pricing. So we want to be able to pay back that loan and build that wooden coaster. And then nothing else around here. I've got an idea in mind for a coaster along the back. But yeah, I'm researching water rides now because there was Awkward did have a rowing boats, so it'd be nice if we had something like that. I wouldn't mind putting a river rapids down as well. We could probably do something with that on the other pond over here, because they are profit monsters, so that'll be cool. So I think I'm gonna crack on with that, and hopefully we'll drop in sometime mid-year when I've got enough cash that we can build that wooden coaster. Okay, so it's July year 2. We've got 7,500. So I figure it's time we built the wooden coaster. Now I've just realised, obviously the lift hill is there. It comes down, and I've got a path in the way there. So we're going to have to get rid. Let's have a look. Let's put it on. Let's hide scenery. Second, put on pause. So I figure then, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try and draw on the screen to see if we can get it to work. And I figure that's the idea I'm going to go for at the start. I'm not sure about the rest of it. Obviously, it's going to come up here, drop down there, a little airtime hill there. Have I left space for it to go over there? Yes, so it can do that. It can go over via the coaster there. I'll show you that later. Come back, and then we got a couple of helixes, and hopefully we can connect it up to the station, which is going to go somewhere around here. That's the plan. If we have to get rid of a small section of track in order to make it work, then we're going to have to do it. But That's a plan. So what we'll do then, initially, we'll put no entry signs there and there. Okay, so in Awkward, the original wooden coaster was called Megaphobia. And when Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 was coming out, Chris Sawyer went there whilst the park was shut. And he went around on Megaphobia many, many times in order to get photos for the cover. So if you've got the box, have a look on that, and you should see Chris Sawyer on the roller coaster, and that coaster is Megaphobia, which doesn't look anything like this one here. So I know the stats are gonna be fine. It's just this weird section here I don't like. So how do we get that to look? Is that the same? So it's really hard to tell sometimes. What if we start the angle a little bit sooner? No, wasn't that what it was originally? We'll go with that. And we'll call it Phantom, but we'll spell it the Welsh way, or the Welsh phonetic way. So a single F in Welsh would be pronounced like a V, but a double F would be pronounced like a F. So it is Phantom. Cool. Right, so let's get on with the par then. I know the stats are going to be fine. I'm going to crack on with the par then, and then we can show you at the end of the year. October year 2, 856 guests in the park, and we've got a haunted mansion right just down there called Voodoo Mansion. So after they got rid of the western area, they kind of rethemed it into like a New Orleans style area, which I don't think it ever worked. I mean, like a Wild West is kind of a staple of theme parks, and it worked really well. That area just never really worked, not for me anyway. So we've painted the wooden coaster, and then I tried showing you on a different video what happens sometimes. Can you see the way the sprites are clipping onto the track just there? So I was thinking of redoing the track, but then I realized all I need to do is put the roof on, and it reorders the sprites in such a way. Where have I put that now? I've put that up there. Let's try that again. It reorders them, so just put the roof anywhere, click up, do the bullseye, click it on the other roof that we want to match the height of, and then we'll plonk it down there. So doing this now, there you go. It's reordered the sprites, and we'll rotate it, make sure it's all in the right place. Yes, cool. Okay, and then just over here then, we have got Tree Topper. So in Awkward, they had a roller coaster called Treetops, and it was a very basic ride. It's the same design and model coaster that they've got in like a Six Flags, one of the Six Flags parks, probably more than one of them actually. But what makes the treetops, or what made treetops so good, was the fact that it actually went through a forest. So you were, if you had your hands out, you could clip some of the leaves and things like that on the trees. So that really did add some excitement to it. So I will be trying to spam some trees down here to make that a lot more exciting. I've rejigged the log flume slightly, so I've just put the reverser bits up there. After all, we've already bought them, might as well use them. So yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. What have we got over here then? We have got the river rapids. So we've just called this waterfall. Waterfall was like it was some sort of water slide that they had in Awkward. Very basic. And you know what? It was only when I looked it up that I remember that I knew it was called waterfall. I don't think I must have ridden it loads of times, but I just could never remember the name of it. In fact, I may even have got Snake River Falls and Waterfall the wrong way around. Because the thing is, Awkward's in Wales, and in Wales it rains a lot. And so having water rides in a park where it rains a lot isn't a very good idea. But it's something that they went with time and time again. Um, yeah. Um, Speaking of which, we've also got splash boats. So Awkward did have a very large shoot the shoots ride, and I'm not going to be building that. There was a tragic incident on it, so I won't be building that. And it's starting to rain, so I'm going to carry on building. I'll see you soon. October year 3, we needed 1,200 guests in the park. We've got 1,213. So if that isn't a fitting testament to Awkward, I don't know what it is. We just got by for so long. So yeah, we've been putting down a lot of trees and fences and things like that. We put a little top spin down there. Awkward didn't have top spin. We've got a sim ride down there. Didn't have one of those either. It really could have done with some extra flat rides. Over here, then we've got a looping coaster. So it's called Speedy. So Awkward had a Eurofighter called Speed, and it was fantastic. I will be honest, it was a brilliant ride. And we have actually unlocked a vertical drop. So had we had that sooner, I probably would have built that, but we didn't. Do you know what I mentioned earlier about the splash boats that they had? They really should have gone for something like a night, honestly, something like a simple boomerang roller coaster, a shuttle coaster, something simple like that. They really should have gone for, not something where if you get wet in a park where it rains a lot, you're more than likely to go home. And then we've got a launch tower just here. It's called Bounce. So in Awkward, they had a launch tower called Bounce. And not only did it launch, it also did a drop mode as well. So that was pretty cool. It ran through both cycles. And then we've got a 3D cinema. We're calling it the Cinema 360. So when it first opened, Awkward had a Cinema 180. So that was, for those of you too young to know, it was like a huge dome that you would go in. And so because it was a dome, the obviously it's curved, so you would then project a film onto the curved screen, the dome wall basically, and then you would all be stood up, or you could sit down if you want to, but it was better if you were standing watching it, and it would be like a 3D effect, and it would always be things like on roller coasters or on planes or in cars or things like that, and you'd end up swaying as you were moving and things like that. It was always pretty cool. So I guess this 3D cinema is like a more modern nod to that. And then just over here, how are we doing for time? Cool, plenty of time. And then just over here, we've added a rotor drop, but we haven't put the top on it, so it just spins round, and we've called it Dizzy. So in recent years, Awkward had a disco ride, but it was a small version of the disco ride. Now, if anything, that made it worse because it was it. I've been on the larger discos a few times. I've been on the one in Legoland, I've been on the one in Chessington and the one in I can't remember the name of it now, Poulton Park, and they were all fine, absolutely fine. But the smaller one, because it's smaller and the G-force is a lot higher, it's a lot more, makes you a lot more nauseous. And the advertising that they did for that was, it seemed really way over the top for what is basically a glorified carnival ride. And we've done it, Stu. Fantastic. Um, oh, there you go, Lightning Peaks. I remember that. It's awful. Yeah, so I really like the way the park has turned out. These three rides up here, they all share an exit. So with that, so on this T junction there are no entry signs on either side, and also one just on the exit of the launch tower as well. That way, guests can't go down the wrong way. And we're missing a fence. Cool. That's that done. Yeah, I really like the way the park has turned out. Honestly, reminiscing about Awkward has made me feel quite sad. It is a real shame that, I probably will never get to go again. Although I will say, in recent years, when I have been, I've always left feeling disappointed. The place always looked so run down, like it really needed a good scrub and a good paint job. And it's easy to say that it's just in the wrong place. But honestly, in recent years, the former owners of Awkward have built up and established a really successful holiday park next door. So I don't think that excuse washes anymore. Not when you've got, potentially 1,000 people next door. But yeah, I'm a little sad at the moment. Right, okay then. So I think I'm okay now. I've actually asked my dad to dig out some old family photos from our trips to Awkward. So if I find any of them, I'll stick them up on my Instagram because I'm sure they'll be pretty fun. So yeah, this was actually. Do you know what? Do you know what? I don't think Rotting Heights fits anymore. Not the way the park looks now. I think Rockin' Heights fits a lot more. Yeah. So this is Rockin' Heights. I've been Stu. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you soon. Bye.